Classical Music Readers, Level 4. The works of Antonín Leopold Dvořák. Copyright 2023 Seed Learning. All rights reserved. Who was Antonín Leopold Dvořák? Antonín Leopold Dvořák was a Czech composer, born in 1841. He was born in Bohemia, now part of the Czech Republic. He started to have music lessons when he was just 6 years old, and was soon playing the violin in local churches and in the village band. When he was around 12, Dvořák moved in with his aunt and uncle in Slavonic so that he could study music. He started composing music during this time. One of Dvořák's teachers was so impressed by his talent that he told Dvořák's parents to send him to study music at the organ school in Prague. Dvořák studied hard and became a talented viola player. In 1859, he graduated from the school and joined an orchestra which played music at restaurants in the city. In 1862, Dvořák became the main viola player in an orchestra where composer Bedřich Smetana was the conductor. Dvořák also earned extra money by teaching music, and he found a job as a church organist. However, what he really wanted to do was compose. He entered his compositions in a government contest and won. The prize money allowed him to quit his church job and spend more time writing music. Dvořák eventually left the orchestra as well, so that he could focus on composing. There was a problem, though. He was very self-critical. Dvořák destroyed a lot of his pieces, which he thought were not acceptable. He concluded that he had to find his own style, and over time he did. Although he based his style on traditional classical forms, his works clearly show the influence of Czech folk music. His music started to be printed by a well-known German music publisher and was performed in many countries, even as far away as the United States. From 1892 to 1895, Dvořák was the director of the National Conservatory of Music in New York City. However, he missed home and returned to his job as professor of composition at the Prague Conservatory. In March 1904, Dvořák suffered ill health, causing him to miss rehearsals and performances. He died just a few months later, in May of that year, and was buried on the grounds of Vyšehrad Castle in Prague. Slavonic Dances, Opus 46, Number 8, in G minor, 1878. Dvořák had a strong Czech identity that is clearly visible in his music. His Slavonic dances are lively and full of national character, thanks to the influence of the folk music he heard growing up. He wrote the dances at the request of a music publisher who asked him for piano duets based on Eastern European folk music. The Slavonic dances are a series of 16 orchestral pieces, published in 2 sets. He composed Opus 46 in 1878 and Opus 72 in 1886. Originally, Dvořák composed the music as piano duets, but he rewrote them as orchestral music. Today, they are considered among his most famous works. Interestingly, Dvořák was mostly unknown before he published the Slavonic dances. Let's take a look at Slavonic Dance No. 8 from the first set, Opus 46. This piece is a fast Bohemian dance. It is short, but extremely exciting because the tempo of the piece changes often. It can be a little difficult for a listener to follow, but one can't help but be caught up in the energy and want to dance. Symphony No. 9 in E minor, 1893. Dvořák's Symphony No. 9 in E minor, written in 1893, is considered one of the most popular of all symphonies. Astronaut Neil Armstrong even took a recording of this symphony with him when he went to the moon in 1969. The full name of the symphony is From the New World, because Dvořák wrote it while working in the United States. His career was going well by now. He had a good experience in the U.S. He was not worried about money anymore, and he felt like he was an ambassador of Czech music. Dvořák said that he was influenced by the Native American and black music he heard in the U.S. He was also inspired by the wide-open spaces of that country. Symphony No. 9 has 4 movements. The music has a variety of styles and speeds. One of the most famous sections of this symphony is Largo in the second movement. It is smooth, slow, and relaxing to listen to. At the opening performance in New York in 1893, the audience clapped loudly at the end of every movement. This was one of the greatest public successes of Dvořák's entire career. Rusalka, Opus 114, 1900. The opera Rusalka is one of the most successful Czech operas and is performed around the world. The Czech text was written by Jaroslav Kvapil. He based it on traditional Slavonic fairy tales. In those stories, a Rusalka is a water sprite who lives in a lake or river. Kvapil's text was written before he even met the composer. Dvořák always liked Czech fairy tales, so he read Kvapil's text and composed his opera very quickly, in just 7 months in 1900. Rusalka is the story of a water sprite of the same name, who wants to be human so that she can be with the prince who swims in the lake. She asks her father for help, but he refuses. Then Rusalka turns to Jezibaba, a witch, for help instead. Rusalka sings of her love in the beautiful Song to the Moon. The witch does a spell to make Rusalka human, but she must give up her beautiful voice. If Rusalka can't make the prince love her, she will return to the water, and he will be cursed. The prince meets Rusalka and asks her to marry him. However, a beautiful princess is invited to the wedding. The princess does not love the prince, but steals him away from Rusalka anyway. Rusalka's father is angry and casts a spell on the prince. Rusalka wishes to return to the water and to her sisters, so she makes another deal with Jezibaba. This time, Rusalka must kill the prince, so she can return to her old life. However, Rusalka says no and throws the knife into the lake instead. In her sadness, Rusalka becomes a spirit of death. The sick prince finds her and asks her to forgive him. Even though he knows it will kill him, he asks her for one last kiss. The opera ends with Rusalka's great song of forgiveness, which often makes audiences cry. Even now, years after his death, Dvořák is a Czech national hero.